Hello, and welcome to a short reading of a transcription that I just did of Anthony Patch livestream called Many Shall Be Offended, which you can watch on Brighteon. Unfortunately, his YouTube channel was taken down, so now he's posting on other platforms. Something he said in one of his live streams really resonated with me, and it was because it's something I felt last year through my own research, but also just a thought came into my head. This is way before I discovered Anthony Patch research and his writings and his work. I was just walking in my garden in April during the height of the lockdown, and this thought came into my head, and I thought, no matter what happens, I will never ever take the Jack scene. You know, no matter what sacrifices I have to make about not being able to participate in society anymore, I'm willing to make that sacrifice because, to me, my most cherished possession is my mind and my connection with God, and I don't want to lose that connection. And I felt like that's what Satan's agenda is, to cut off our ties, our connection with God. So I just thought I will just be a hermit and just read my books. And that's, yeah. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the transcription that I just made, and I will use coded words so that I can fly under the radar of the bots. But you will figure out what the coded words actually mean. So let's get started. Transhumanism Agenda. Biologically created synthetics. So the agenda is to create transhumans, which is to connect humans to technology. And we've been seeing that for a very long time in films, such as Blade Runner, Ex Machina, and also films that depict humans connecting and living in a virtual reality, such as Ready Player One, Vanilla Sky, and Total Recall as well. So another thing he said, Anthony Patch said, was that, we're waiting to see a physical connection of man and technology. But the thing is, it's already happening. We are already biologically being transformed into technology. Well, not we, as in the dissenters, we're not, but the normies. They are already being biologically transformed into technology through these vaccines, which aren't really vaccines by any medical or legal definition. These are synthetic pathogens which are designed to change the human DNA. And they even say it themselves, talk about biological operating software, and the terms that they use, they're quite obvious if you look out for it. So Satan's agenda is to digitize humanity, connecting literally our minds, our consciousness to the hive mind. This is what Anthony Patch has said. Okay, so now I'm going to read my transcription of what Anthony Patch said. So, starting the quote. Okay, so Anthony Patch said, "The agenda is to digitize humanity, literally connecting our minds, our consciousness to the hive mind. Those that have already taken the vaccine, that is their future. Those are the consequences. Those are the consequences of already taking the present day vaccines. This new genetic forking or branching of humanity is deliberate. The changes in the DNA underway now, but will become much more apparent once the 5 gamma signal is broadcast. 5 gamma, if you know what I mean. Signal is broadcast. A specific signal by way of 5 gamma specific set of instructions. So, a specific signal by way of 5 gamma specific set of instructions to the nanobots that are present in those that have taken the vaccine, and those going forward that will take the vaccine, that will manifest under the Antichrist. They will be digitally connected and therefore digitally controlled. So Satan's plan is to create a serf class where they will be controlled digitally, because once you've taken this synthetic vaccine, you can't take it out. It's irreversible. There's no coming back from it. Once it's done, it cannot be undone. Okay, so going back to what Anthony Patch said. So then he said, there will be a redistribution of wealth. They keep going on about the Great Reset. Yes, it's going to happen. But the redistribution of wealth will be to the top, not to the masses, not to the serf class. Okay, so another part of the live stream, Anthony Patch then talked about the overall goal of the transhumanism agenda. So Anthony Patch said, the majority of humanity do not know or understand history, and so they are doomed to repeat the mistakes of history. So because a lot of people don't understand history, they're then doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past because they haven't learned from it. That's why it's so important that we read and capture, what's happened in the past. And that's why there's this big agenda for censorship and a digital burning of books as such. So Anthony Patch said, this is a dictatorship on a global scale, and they, as in Normies, do not understand it. They choose not to understand it. They choose not to be learned and wise, and these are the consequences of remaining steadfast in their sin. They are given over to the technology. So you'll probably find that a lot of people, normies as I call them, they just reject any evidence or any information you give them about the dangers of the vaccine. They just don't want to know. They just blindly following faith, blindly following science, and that's their new faith. So I always thought the new religion, the new one global religion would be something like Theosophy, New Age. But it's actually, I think Anthony Patch said it, it's actually science. Science is the new global religion. People are just following it blindly and they don't realize that's not how science works. Science should be questioned, and it's not, in solid stone or whatever. And so the people that don't want to do any research, don't want to know the information, they are choosing not to be knowledgeable, not to be wise as such. And the saying is, a wise, what is it? A sad sage, unhappy sage, but a happy fool or something like that. Anyways, let's get back to what Anthony Patch said. So then he said, as their minds are connected through the actions of these vaccines and the final signal being delivered through 5 gamma WY to everyone on the planet. This is why the launching of the microsatellites into geosynchronous constellation patterns of diamonds over the planet are able to broadcast down to 1 square foot over the entire planet via the 5 or 6 gamma signal. It's for that purpose, for throwing that switch, as Anthony Patch likes to call it. The throwing of the switch, the major global 5 gamma switch. Anthony Patch said that I think they're just waiting to hit critical mass, like a certain number of people that are vaccinated, and so then they're going to flip the switch as such. And when everyone's mind is then connected, as in the people who have taken the synthetic pathogen, and when everyone's mind is then connected to the quantum computer driven sentient world simulation, they will not even realize that they had a life prior to the life they now find themselves in. So basically, they won't even know the life they had before. They will forget. And then Anthony Patch said, they will not even have the context to realize that they are in a different reality. They will not remember the past. And they do not have the contextual reference points to realize that they have been changed. They will only understand the reality that they are in is the reality that they have always been in. So basically, they're just going to think that the reality that they are in is the reality that they have always been. They're not going to remember the past. They're not going to have any contextual reference points to realize that they actually have been changed. They won't realize that. And they're not going to remember the life they had previously. So then Anthony says, that's how insidious this is. There is no other reality and no memory of an alternative reality. So they won't have a memory of the reality that existed before for them. It is only that which they are embedded in through the technium. They will think that they have always existed in that technium altered reality. So when they are connected to the hive mind and they have this altered reality, they're going to think that's the way it was always. That's just the way it always was. And they will know no difference. And then Anthony explains how a major reason, apart from the technology, that they don't realize that they had a previous life, a different life, is because they are separated from God. They can no longer have a relationship with God. Even those that claim to be atheists, even those that were devout Luciferians, they still had some form of relationship with God. But once the restrainer is lifted from the earth, once God cuts off any relationship, and this has never happened with humanity, once God ceases to have a relationship with humanity, people will only know the technium reality. So that's the end of that transcription. So that was something that really resonated with me. And I hope to make some more of these little short audio logs just to get the information across. So thank you so much for listening. Bye for now.